Mm. Hello, everybody. My name is Demetrios Dees, and I'm here as a student representative for the LSC. The purpose of me being here is to express and plead to you on the behalf of all Bogan students that our academic lives and our academic futures depend on Bogan. And as a dependent of the school, we are hurt by the fact that our school is being stigmatized, in my opinion, a racially motivated and unjust graduation rate that is based on a wrong and uncorrected information. This has created a system where our livelihood is in jeopardy. I want to be successful just like any other children, any other child in America. But how am I supposed to succeed when every time we push for something, a better life, we are pushed into the mud and trampled on by a further system of oppression that has unconspicuously gashed and impaired the lives of every Black and brown South Side student? According to the CPS website, equity is one of CPS's core values. This is followed by the statement, we eliminate barriers to success and ensure equitable opportunities for all students. Yet these false graduation rates are setting barriers that stigmatize Bogan and every Bogan student. Though the problem is being fixed for further years, what will be done about the black eye that has stained Bogan? What will be done about that stain that is put and engraved in our academic history? Thank you for hearing me today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Andrea Escobedo, speaker number 12. Please hit *6 to unmute.
Hello, my name is Andrea Escobedo, and I've worked at Bogan since 2007. I'm a special education teacher. As I've been made aware of how you've calculated Bogan's graduation rate data, I wanted to make sure you're aware of some things you may not know about Bogan. For many of our students, Bogan has become like a second home to them. They play basketball, they attend after-school matters, they play soccer, they wrestle. Bogan also opens its door to the community and offers parent university classes. When you lead people to believe that Bogan is one of the worst schools in the state of Illinois by misrepresenting the graduation numbers, you're hurting these stakeholders also. We have good kids at our school, and we're trying to help those kids succeed. As a special education teacher, I'm particularly concerned about equity, and I truthfully feel that the board has not treated Bogan High School with equity when it comes to how they treated Bogan in regards to our previous graduation rates. Please consider adding an addendum or a resolution to the accountability policy that recognizes the students that were factored into Bogan's 2019-2021 graduation rate were not students who actually attended Bogan or even entered our school. Additionally, please consider allowing our LSC to have the same rights as every other LSC in the city of Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Lenore Salas, speaker number 15. Please hit *6 to unmute.
Hello all, my name is Lenore Salas. I have been teaching at Bogan High School for 10 years and I graduated from Bogan in 1990. As a teacher for diverse learners, an IB world language teacher, and as an alum, I am fully vested in providing our students with opportunities to grow and succeed. My goal as a teacher is to provide students with the same opportunities that Bogan provided to me long ago to succeed. CPS's current policy to include students that have never attended Bogan in Bogan's graduation rate negatively impacts students, the school, and the community. Bogan's mission is excellence today, success tomorrow. Our school's community focus on excellence is evidenced in the planning, the strategies, and the data analysis that staff consistently apply to support our students as they strive to graduate and plan their post-secondary path to success. By including students who are not influenced or impacted by Bogan's work ethic and desire to strive for excellence in our graduation rate, this diminishes and misrepresents our students and staff's hard work to achieve and influences future students' view of their possible academic success at Bogan. These misleading numbers do not give credit to the Bogan alum and the staff and implies that Bogan is failing their students when in actuality, these numbers do not represent the hard work done by Bogan students and teachers. I am aware that future students will no longer be impacted by this practice, but this misleading information for graduation rates of the year 2019, 2020, and 21
15,
influences.
30 seconds remaining. Please conclude.
Okay. In conclusion, I feel that students, staff, and community and our community deserve to be recognized for their efforts and their strive for excellence. We also request that our school has the same rights as other schools across the city to have a local school council where the community can fully impact and shape the policies that impact our school community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Angelo Perez, speaker number 16, who is here in person.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angelo Emmanuel Perez. I am a senior at Bogan High School. Here at Bogan, I am a member of the local student council. I represent my graduating class of 2023 as a student representative. I am president of the National Honor Society. I am also a Chicago Scholars alumni. This year, I am the salutatorian for my graduating class and was a Posse Scholar. What I want to address today is I am deeply concerned about the Illinois State Board of Education's school numbers affecting our graduation rate at Bogan High School. The lack of empathy and fairness is what I feel the Illinois State Board of Education does not understand. I consider Bogan to be family and community-oriented high school where generations of family members attend the same school as their relatives did. This is my hope, that my little brother in second grade could be a freshman at Bogan one day and create a legacy for himself with other great kids from his generation. It concerns me that the data shows that the graduation rate of fewer than 60% will prevent bright students from coming to Bogan. Due to the low percentage of graduating students that will ultimately affect my school's reputation. Not only did I want to stand up for the cause that is disrupting my school academics, but also for my principal, Ms. Sims, and the administration and staff that strive to create a safe and open-minded environment for the students that want to exceed the standards at school like myself. Overall, my regards are that Bogan High School does not get thrown under the bus and that there can be a solution because Bogan High School does its best.
Speaker number
as
16,
a
you have 30
school
seconds,
to
please.
be a student's first choice. And a situation like this will create a sense of insecurity and unlikeliness for families who want their kids to attend here. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Jorge Solorio, speaker number 17. Please hit *6 to unmute.
Hello and good afternoon, everybody. I'm speaking today as a Bogan teacher and also as a Bogan alumni and the current resident of the community. My name is George Solorio, and I actually graduated from Bogan High School in 2011. You actually heard my former teacher speaking and two of my current students that I currently have also speak today. As a student, I was a part of Bogan's IB program, and as a teacher, I'm currently teaching the IB, DP, Global Politics, and DP History classes. As a former student, as a current staff member, and as a member of the community, when there are students who have never attended Bogan High School and they are attributed to Bogan's graduation rate, it impacts the perception of Bogan to the community that it is a failing school. As a former student at Bogan and now as a current teacher, the changes to the school have been tremendous. The focus on student learning, intervening with students, and ensuring students are prepared to post-secondary success are definitely evident. We are happy that accountability is changing now and how it submits graduation data for the future, but I still find it troubling that ISB and CPS still have it on the record that our graduation rates were 56.2% in 2019 and 54.5% in 2020 and 55.1% in 2021. If I, as a teacher, realized I was doing something inequitable in my practice, I would definitely change it and reach out to those students who were impacted previously. And that's what I'm asking of everybody here today. We're asking for you to acknowledge that the data you previously used was not accurate, and we're also asking you to allow our LSC to function in the same capacity as every other
17, you have
LSC in the
30
city of
seconds,
Chicago.
please conclude.
Yeah. So to top it off, essentially, we just want to be treated the same way that other schools have been treated, and essentially do right by our students, our community, and our staff. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Eli Jacobson, speaker number 18. Please hit *6 to unmute. Eli Jacobson, hit *6 to unmute.
Hello, sorry.
My name is Eli Jacobson. I'm a social studies teacher here at Bogan High School. I'm here as a civic-minded individual, something I hope all my students will be in the future. Our LSC at Bogan made us aware how our graduation data has been misrepresented in previous years and the impact this has had on our school. For instance, in 2019, as stated before, the board reported to ISB our graduation rate was 56.2%, while CPS reported our graduation rate at 77.5%. This is an alarming difference. The difference comes from the way accountability added students from other schools to our graduation rosters, using the homeschool model as they live within Bogan's zone. I've also reviewed the response from Jeffrey Broom, explaining how and why Bogan's data was used in the past. It's wonderful that the practice will change in the future, but to no longer using the homeschool, but instead utilizing the previous serving school of the student. Yet a large obstacle still remains. Bogan is listed as one of the worst rated schools in the state of Illinois because of those graduation rates in 2019-20 and 2021. We went from having ratings in the mid-80s all the way down to the mid-50s, a glaring mark. Just because the practice will be changing in the future does make up for the harm that has been caused in the past. I'm asking the board to consider the following two actions. Pass either a resolution or addendum that makes the public aware that the graduation rate data used for Bogan in the years 2019, 2021, and 2020 and 2021 use students who were not part of Bogan's actual population and instead were attributed to Bogan simply because they lived in the area. Two, taking into consideration the data you gave ISB in 2019, 2020, and 2021, please reconsider.
Please conclude.
Consider restoring Bogan's LSC rights to serve as an independent entity. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Marilyn Korris, speaker number 20. Please hit *6 to unmute.
Good afternoon. I'm Marilyn Korris, a teacher at Bogan High School and one of the teacher representatives for the local school council. The Bogan LSC asked that 1, there be an amendment, addendum, or resolution indicating Bogan's true graduation rate on CPS's website. And 2, the board allow Bogan's LSC to have all its powers restored so that it's not just in consulting status. Over the last year, the Bogan LSC has reached out earnestly with the belief that the equity vision laid out before Chicago was a commitment by the board to change those things which have negatively impacted many communities over the years. We now know that during the 2018 and 2019 school year, the Accountability Department submitted data that revised the state's data for Bogan's graduation rate. Bogan was listed as a commendable school in July of 2019. However, after the revision, Bogan was listed as the lowest performing with a 56.2% graduation rate, a full 21.3% below the 77.5% graduation rate that CPS reported. In previous years, Bogan had graduation rates in the mid and the high 80th percentages. CPS has continued to report a higher graduation rate for Bogan than ISB since the 2018 school year, with the difference on an average being about 20 percentage points. If ISB was using the CPS graduation rate, Bogan would be considered commendable and the school would be in good standing right now. This makes it seem like the burden of the incorrect school ratings that have been placed on Bogan's community is Bogan's issue rather than one that falls squarely at the district's feet. We are still seeking
Number
a
20, you
resolution
have
that
30
is fair
seconds remaining. Please conclude.
and equitable to all. It makes us concerned that the district has refused to take steps to investigate this matter thoroughly and fairly. Simply sending a letter in response to our letter is not what we're looking for. We're looking for an equitable resolution. We now understand that the board is going to continue to penalize Bogan and the LSC with this incorrect data and keep the school's probation status in place. Once again, we ask that 1, there be an amendment, addendum, or resolution indicating Bogan's true graduation rate data on CPS's website, and 2, to allow Bogan's LSC to have all its powers restored so that it's not just in consulting status. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Colleen OConnor, speaker number 23. Please hit *6 to unmute.
Hello, my name is Colleen OConnor, and I'm a first-year teacher at Bogan High School. I feel compelled to speak out on behalf of my school because I think it might be valuable to consider the optics of the situation from a fresh pair of eyes. As someone who was recently searching and applying for teaching positions, I distinctly remember hesitating before applying to Bogan. As an English language arts teacher, I naturally did extensive and exhaustive research about each and every school I applied to, and I balked at first because of Bogan's shockingly low graduation rates and its ranking as one of the worst schools in Illinois. I also recall after being offered the position at Bogan, discussing it with another prospective teacher who pointed out these graduation rates and advised me not to take the job. These rates and rankings can and do impact the amount and the quality of candidates that apply and accept positions at a school. I sure assume that most prospective students and their parents and guardians have similar reactions when they see this incorrect data. Now, of course, I am grateful for applying and accepting the position at Bogan because I have come to know some of the hardest working and most caring individuals, both colleagues and students alike. I have come to find that Bogan is a special school, but many may not take the time to realize that before because they already wrote Bogan off due to incorrect data. However, seeing as I'm speaking to a room full of educators, perhaps it would be best to pose this as a more authentic scenario. Imagine your child comes home from school and on their report card they received an S of 56%. You double check it with their test scores and grades you've saved because we're educators, of course we save them. And by your calculations, they should have received a C of 77%.
Speaker number 23, you have
That is
30
the data
seconds
from
remaining. Please
2019.
conclude.
You could also use the data from 2020 or 2021, all of which show your child receiving an F when they really deserve a C. My question to you is this: would you consider a promise to change grading practices in the future to be a sufficient resolution, or would you request that past grading errors be amended? What actions do the students, faculty, and staff and surrounding community of Bogan deserve? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker,
I'd like to, I see Jeff.
Yeah.
Broom here. Could you address the Bogan High School issue of the dropout rate calculation and talk to us about where ISBE is with this?
Yeah, great. Thank you for the opportunity to respond. So I think I want to start with acknowledging the validity of Bogan's concerns. I think there are some differing interpretations on the margins of state policy and things, but overall, we agree with their interpretation of what needed to be corrected. That's why we've been working with them for close to 2 years. We've had multiple meetings with the staff, with the full LSC, to sort of articulate that in response to their concerns. And I appreciate several of the callers acknowledging this, that we, in response to that, we worked with principals around the district to change how we report data to the state. And so that we expect that discrepancy in the state graduation rate to change over time and improve over time. The issue is, I think that the things that are outstanding are, a couple of acknowledgements. One, this is the state's graduation rate that we're talking about, not the district's. I think several callers alluded to that. And so there's a limitation to how much control we have over the state's calculation. Where we have agency in that is how we report data. And as mentioned, we are changing that going forward and improving the accuracy of that. I think the one outstanding concern that with respect to the data that we can't address because it's outside of our locus of control is changing past calculations. And I think that's what several of the commenters are sort of advocating for. I would say that's not, we've asked ISB about that. That is not within their policy to sort of go back and correct past data. I would argue that, and I think that several of the commenters acknowledge this. I do think the CPS grad rate is more accurate, more equitable. And so in terms of contextualizing the state's grad rate, I would refer stakeholders to CPS's grad rate as a more accurate depiction of Bogan's performance over time. But I think those are the sort of the key issues in terms of how the state grad rate is calculated and sort of our ability to impact that.
Their proposal for a board resolution, basically acknowledging everything you just said. Has that been discussed before?
I don't know that we've talked about a board resolution specifically. I think we've talked in our response.
And I understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
They want the world to know that these rates for the year 2019,
yeah,
20 and 21,
yeah,
were not accurate.
Yeah, in terms of context, yeah, providing proper
I mean,
context to the state.
They were calculated based on a method that we have now changed.
That's right. Yeah, I think.
And so while we can't get the state board to go back and recalculate everything, I think it is important that we make public so that people could point to as that teacher, the teacher who said she was discouraged from taking a job at Bogan because of a dropout rate, which was not accurately calculated.
Yeah, so I think we can work on the phrasing of that. I would want to just be clear that I think the methodology at the time was a reasonable interpretation of state rules, but in response to concerns from stakeholders, to your point, yes, we have improved it because we think there's a better way to do it that we weren't doing back then. So I'd be happy to have a conversation about what that would look like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Member Top Reading.
Yeah, sorry, just to add to that, a comment and then a question, Jeff. So I too want to acknowledge one of the things that I think we've heard from them, and I want to say it's not only Bogan who lifts this, which is the ways in which, in particular, neighborhood schools were stigmatized by the previous ways that we rated and ranked schools. And I think one of the things, if we go back to a resolution that already exists, the April 2022 board resolution around an approach to a new accountability framework was explicit about the harm that has been done by SQRP. And so I want to name again and acknowledge what we hear, not just from Bogan, but other school communities about the harm that was done by rating and ranking schools, to be explicit that our new approach to accountability explicitly cannot rate and rank schools in that same way. And I think part of what, the reason, I just want to say, like, the reason, in some perspective, one could think, like, why do they care so much about this past rating or number? But the reason that they care about the number is because our past system incentivized them to care and get to a minute level about caring about that particular number. And we don't want to do that anymore on purpose, right? That what's important is what's actually happening in their school community, and that this new approach to accountability will take in the broader range of all the things that we heard teachers and students and other stakeholders coming forward and saying about what is actually important. So that's one thing. My question, though, is around the LSC issue. And I think I still have some confusion as to whether there's probationary status. That is why they cannot have a full powers of the LSC. Is that determined by 8.3 at the state level, or do we have discretion at the district level? And to provide greater context, we have schools, not just Bogan, who have been in this probationary status for decades, plural, at this point, right? And clearly being in that status has not had the incentive of, doing the things that when that was put in 30 years ago or whenever it was thought to do would have, right? And so we're still living out that being part of the 1995 law and subsequent things at the state level that only apply to Chicago public schools. Where is that decision-making locus? Is that still solely with the state, or do we have discretion as we create a different, way that we're calculating graduation rates, et cetera, to do something differently there? And not just graduation rate, because clearly that status is not solely determined based on graduation rate.
Yeah, so that, to your point, the LSC powers, so the 1995 the section 8.3 of the Illinois School Code does articulate how Chicago needs to apply to an accountability status for every school, and those accountability statuses do have impact on LSC power. So the short answer to your question is yes, that's the state law that is impacting Bogan's ability to fully exercise all of its LSC's powers. And so we are limited to that extent. I think to preview the conversation we'll have at next board meeting, we do address what we can within the scope of that in our new accountability policy, but there are constraints from state law in terms of how much we can determine that and how LSC powers are defined as a result of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here to respond
Absolutely.
to those
Thanks for the
questions. And you'll be in touch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding public participation? Any other questions or comments regarding public participation? Okay, then this concludes public participation. We will now